Hey YouTube, welcome back. You're here with Gemma and Roll Costa with the ATX VGC Monday Night Friendly VODs.
We're going to be commentating a match between Nibs Plays Games and White Tigers. You can check out their teams in the overlay over there.
Yeah, for sure. Let's go ahead and jump right into the battle and see who wins this one. Alright, and we're back.
Yes.
How's it going, Roll Costa?
It's going good. I really enjoyed watching that last match. It had all sorts of crazy stuff happening, and looks like Nibs and Tiger are already connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, Adam, I highly recommend going back and rewatching that. You missed some good stuff.
Yeah, that was potentially one of the craziest sets in terms of like RNG and everything else that I think I've seen.
Yeah.
Hitting the sheer gold through paralysis, getting the quick call on the exact turn he needed it. Chase's weakness policy orbital doing no kinds of damage, like the whole thing.
Oh, Chase, was your orbital supposed to be G-Max, or did you really just want to run regular orbital? I guess you probably wanted the psychic terrain for expanding force.
I think I chatted in here saying, the psychic terrain for expanding force, so...
for all that 6 damage that Mr. Mime was doing on those expanding forces.
Yeah, but the animation was so cool with the
I'd never seen Mr. Mime attack before. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I love how the Galarian Mr. Mime is like more about like tap dancing, and then
he's a clogger.
Yeah, clogging, not tap dancing. My bad, Orchestra. So yeah, we'll be reposting all these VODs as well. We've been doing a lot better at getting everything up on YouTube. We've been posting 2 a day for almost a week now as we attempt to catch all the way back up. We are currently, I think, on the first week of September. So this VOD should post sometime next week, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, but let's get into our second game of the night.
Yeah.
We got some classic teams out here.
Yeah, 2 teams we've seen before on the ATX VGC Monday Night Friendlies. Tigers is running the Tentacruel team, which I believe was optimized originally in the EV Hour, but since then has undergone a few changes with the addition of this Dracovish.
Yeah, oh, that is true. Dracovish wasn't originally on. Do you remember what the original Pokemon was?
You know, I'm going to pull it up so I can double check, but what I'll say is the 2 times I played White Tigers using this team, he had the Dracovish on it, so that's what I remember. But I'll pull it up from our EV Hour text chain, which this is a great time to plug. If y'all are here for the first time watching our Monday Night Friendlies and thinking, these teams are crazy, how did Chase get a win with a Molga and a Mr. Mime? He hosts...
By not bringing them.
Yeah, by not bringing them helps a lot. But he hosts a weekly EV Hour on Thursday evenings where he goes through and helps us team build and optimize each team. So if you have a Pokemon you want to bring, literally no judgments in terms of what it is, Chase will do what he can to optimize that team. We're going to be transitioning that mostly to Series 7 talk, the speculative Series 7 talk. So that's kind of been the last few weeks anyway. But yeah. And Chase points out he technically didn't get a win with Emolga, so... Some
would say that you technically got a loss with Emolga.
So right off the bat here, we see Nibs in his common double screen threatening with the Grimmsnarl Lapras against White Tiger's deadly weakness policy combo and Dugtrio Tentacruel.
Yeah, the other thing that's happening in addition here is that Dugtrio Arena Trap is preventing any switch outs from happening. Nibs is forced to commit to these Pokemon. I don't really know exactly what his strategy is going to be. Dugtrio is insanely frail, so he has a pretty free resonance into there if he wants it. Tigers is going to go ahead and go for the Dynamax, potentially just going to straight up go for the weakness policy proc and attack into one of these mons, get a really strong move off. Tentacruel Dynamaxing always just makes me feel weird. That's a super weird animation.
I think that's fair. Tentacruel is this super unique ability. I guess it's not truly unique in that it's one of the best abilities in VGC and Clear Body where you prevent all stat drops against it. So similar to Dragapult. So when the self-weakness policy proc and the Bulldoze comes out, it actually goes ahead and lowers everything else's speed except for White Tiger's team.
Yeah. Doug
Ooh,
Trio actually going for Protect, interestingly enough.
yeah, perhaps fearing a
Probably
fake
worried
out.
about something like a fake out double up into. Thunderwave comes out from the Grimmsnarl. You hate to see it. It's never fun to deal with. Lowering the speed of Tentacruel, making it the slowest thing in the field. Resonance comes into Doug Trio, does about half to the Protect, so it's in danger of getting another shot off, or dying to another shot.
Yeah.
And we have to see if Tentacruel is able to attack through the paralysis, and it is able to get a max
Ooh.
ooze off, and this is going to be good damage into the Grimmsnarl, but not enough to take it
Yeah.
out.
So now this Tentacruel is at +1 special defense. I believe this is physical Tentacruel though, as opposed, or no, is it special? I'm trying to remember.
I think it's physical. I'm not 100% sure though.
I'm gonna see. Hey, Tiki, if you have the original chat, if you could whisper it to me or send it to me on Discord, just so I can double check exactly what the original team was. I don't want to give away any sets here, but now this Tentacruel at +1 stage of special attack, and it's likely about to get to a +3, and I think I just saw a click from Nibs that is interesting, and that it won't work.
Yeah, Grimmsnarl's a really pesky Pokemon. You kind of want to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Ooh.
Doug Trio ally switches, trading places with Tentacruel. Fake Tears ends up going off into the Doug Trio, which is kind of a weird play because it's it wouldn't have affected the Tentacruel, but it also. Yeah. So that wasn't a read into the ally switch. That was just maybe Nibs either forgot about Clear Body or isn't aware that Tentacruel gets that ability. Another Max Ooze comes out. Based on how much damage this one does, we'll know if it.
Yeah, that's special.
Actually, it might be special. Yeah, or
Yeah.
either that or it was a roll. But
That's true.
I'm more inclined to think that it was special. The only issue now is that you're still paralyzed, which is unideal. But you did get to keep you didn't get a knockout this turn, or you denied your opponent a knockout.
Yeah, the Doug Trio is at -2 stages of special defense. That really doesn't matter. It's going to be faster than everything. It is being threatened by a Mach Punch right here, as the priority would move before the Doug Trio's impressive speed stat would let it get a bulldoze off. So here we see the Mach Punch, and that's just enough for the KO. This Tentacruel does not get its weakness policy proc off, and the Max Lightning will come out into this Tentacruel.
Actually, you spoke a little too soon, I think.
Oh, yeah, it is just going to go ahead and get the weakness policy proc here, and only take about 25% damage there.
Yeah, Tentacruel's like fairly bulky. Gets the weakness policy proc, sharply raising its attack and special attack, so whichever version it was, it is now.
And now
but
it's fully
gets,
paralyzed.
Yeah, you hate to see it, but that's the prankster Thunderwave. You gotta play around it. You gotta have answers for it.
Yeah. That is incredibly unfortunate turn of events there for Chase. I mean, for Tigers.
Chase is fine.
Yeah, Chase is fine there. Sorry, I was trying to read the messages with the original team. Yeah, so we'll get some information here if the Tentacruel survives this next turn to get an attack off, which I think supported with an Alolan Persian it should. Alolan Persian obviously having fake out pressure here. It's going to be able to stop one of Nibs' Pokemon from attacking into the Tentacruel. And if you're that Tentacruel, I think you're a little bit more worried about Lapras than you are about Conkeldurr.
I don't know if the only thing that's kind of scary is if the Conkeldurr is faster than the Tentacruel, because you weren't able to tell last turn because it went for a Mach Punch. But I would agree with it's probably best to fake out the Lapras. It clearly has an electric move that can hit Tentacruel, and it might even have something like Freeze Dry.
Yeah, so Tentacruel is fairly fast, base 100 speed, I believe, or base 110. So I think it's going to end up being faster than, even while paralyzed, faster than a Conkeldurr. It's base 100 according to Sir Wilson, and we see here
this is a +4 Hydro Pump in the rain. Doesn't get the KO. Close Combat comes out into Tentacruel, which was a
resisted
strange choice of attack, but it did get the KO either way.
Yeah, that was incredibly strange turn of events. The Aurora Veil putting in a lot of work. I think that's also fair to make the assumption that this Conkeldurr is Assault Vest based on the fact that it lived at +4 Hydro Pump in the rain behind screens.
Yeah, and now Dracovish has to lock into something. And Lapras potentially has a freeze dry, which will just get the knockout on it. And I don't think Persian's gonna be able to finish things off for it. Dracovish is deciding to lock into Rock Slide, which will get the KO into Conklin or do decent damage to Lapras. And Tiger's maybe trying to flinch his way through this game.
Oh, unfortunately, that move right there procs Lapras' weakness policy. So it's all gonna come down to flinches here. We'll see.
AC win to lower the speed some. I don't think that's going to be much of a factor, but it may have been Persian's best attacking move. Freeze Dry comes out. It's not going to get it's not going to get flinched this turn, and there's no way Dracovish survives the Freeze Dry.
Yeah, not from a +2 Lapras without any kind of screens up. So the Aurora Veil does wear off there, and Nibs is now in a position to bring in his last Pokemon, which hits this Persian super effectively, and can help clean up the game.
Yeah, that Sylveon's going to be able to clean things up, which means that even if Tiger's got the flinch that turn, it still would have been kind of an uphill battle for him. I think Tiger's win con at that point was just multiple flinches.
Yeah, you just had to continue to Rock Slide flinch throughout the rest of the game. But, hey, crazier things have happened here on Monday Night Friendlies. We just saw a sheer hold through paralysis and a quick claw activation, so...
Yeah, interesting enough, that foul play with the weakness policy trigger does decent damage to the Lapras, but doesn't get the KO, and even if it did, a Hyper Voice from Sylveon was easily going to knock out that Persian.
Yeah, for sure. So Tiger's getting some information there. Hey, thanks for the follow, Anthony.
Anthony Tony Tone?
Yeah, that's it. I'm terrible at reading names on Twitch. I'm so sorry. We are here with our ATX VGC Monday Night Friendlies. We have every Monday night between 3 and 4 best of 3 sets. You're here with us for the second best of 3, and we are commentating the gameplay of Nibs Plays Games against White Tigers. So with Nibs taking game 1 here against Tigers, an interesting fact, Tigers' only win in the Monday Night Friendlies was actually against Nibs in his very first Monday Night Friendly.
Ooh. See if we can recreate the magic.
Yeah. So if that's going to be the case, he's going to have to claw back to a game 3 here. What adjustment do you think Tigers might want to make?
It's kind of scary because I think the real thing that kind of ended up being his demise was Grimmsnarl being able to get off that Thunder Wave. Potentially something he could do is... he could try to turn 1 ally switch with the Doug trio. I don't know if Nibs reads into that. You could go for and it wasn't even like the speed thing that he just got the unlucky full para on a turn that he really couldn't afford to get it.
Yeah, he got it on a max move immediately after the proc of a weakness policy. I'm almost inclined to believe that after 2 bulldozes, well, I mean, obviously, after 2 bulldozes, the speed's just functionally reset, but I think that this Tentacruel, after 1 bulldoze, is in a position where it's going to be faster than the Lapras while paralyzed. Just given their differentials and their speed, so you might just turn 1... It feels like Nibs doesn't have Fake Out on his Grimmsnarl, or else he would have probably gone for that play turn 1. So... If you're Tigers, maybe you just get bold and go for the self-weakness policy proc and start to lower the speed of everything else, just in case you do get paralyzed.
You could even potentially go for an ally switch. It's going to be Persian and Rotom this time, though.
And then Grimmsnarl Lapras, the same lead coming out here from Nibs.
Yeah. Let's see. Tigers could go for something like a Max Flare. It'll do decent damage to the Lapras without the Veil up, and reduces heavily the amount of damage that a Geyser is going to come out doing into it. He could also fake out the Grimmsnarl. He could fake out a Max Flare the Grimmsnarl. That might just be enough for a KO.
Yeah.
And prevents it from doing anything annoying for the rest of the game. Unless...
I don't know if you just saw this play. This looks incredibly interesting. Let's see how this works out for Nibs. He's got a game to play around with here, so we see the switch out of the Lapras into Conkeldurr to presumably take any kind of special attack much better than it would have otherwise. So a Max Lightning here, or even a Max Flare, will be doing significantly less from an unboosted Rotom.
Yes.
Oh, hey, look, Flossie, what happened the first game? So Nibs won the first game.
I think it seems pretty telegraphed that what Tigers wants to go for is a fake out onto the Grimmsnarl, and Nibs did a good job of kind of validating this turn. I don't know how well Conkeldurr would take a Max Flare or even a Max Lightning.
Yeah, especially without the screens here.
Yeah, and I also don't know how well Grimmsnarl would take a Max Flare, so Persian just goes for Parting Shot, actually. Very good.
Really interesting play here.
Manages to reduce the attack of the Conkeldurr on the switch-in, which is going to be obviously very helpful and quite nice. But I'm very curious as to what Rotom went for. Ooh, Amoonguss comes out.
This Max Lightning here.
Lightning into the Conkeldurr, which, that aided a lot better than I thought it would, to be honest.
Yeah, the Assault Vest from the turn last game with the Hydro Pump in the rain from +4, living that behind screens, told me that this is a very specially defensive. This Amoonguss takes this Max Starfall, honestly, a little bit worse than I would have expected.
It still doesn't take very much damage, and now, even though that Amoonguss can't pressure Sleep, it can pressure Redirection, which is obviously very helpful. Close combats aren't going to do a lot. And I think that what Tigers is probably going to want to do is set up the Flare as soon as possible to try to weaken the damage on that Lapras. Lapras against a Rotom is not very threatening unless it maxes.
Yeah, so here we see the Max Flare here into the Conkeldurr. It actually brings it down. It still ends up living right there. And let's see what it went for. The G-Max Darkness here is going to be lowering the special defense by 1 stage and getting some pretty good chip into that Amoonguss. That's a lot of damage. If this is a Fire Punch coming out from this Conkeldurr, I think this Amoonguss is gone.
I would say that even it's so low that even something like a Rock Slide or a High Horsepower may have been able to get it as well, but it was that Fire Punch that went into it, and the Amoonguss is gone. So the redirection isn't there anymore. And Rotom has a stage of lowered special defense, but the sun is up, and he does have the ability to switch it out to reset that special drop. And this is kind of a bit problematic. You brought your Dracovish and you set up the sun, so that's obviously less than ideal.
Yeah, it's not great. So here, Dracovish, even in the sun, is pretty powerful, so if it's moving first, it's going to be picking up a decent chunk of damage. You probably don't want to be going into that. Grimmsnarl, you probably want to hope you catch this Sylveon on a switch in here, but it looks like he opts for the damage onto the Grimmsnarl, doing about 30% to Dynamax.
I think he doubled the Grimmsnarl. He did double the Grimmsnarl.
Yeah. Oh, and it lives. This Max Flare, even in the sun, not really doing enough, and this Max Starfall should be enough to go and pick up the KO on Dracovish.
Yeah, so he manages to get the KO. Something interesting now, though, is that Persian can come in, fake out the Sylveon, and Rotom can go for a Nasty Plot and potentially win the game from there with the boosted Rotom.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely... It's not an ideal position. You used your 3 turns of max and you didn't even pick up a KO. You brought a lot of things chunked down pretty far, but when your opponent did pick up 2 KOs with their Dynamax to your none, you're in a much more difficult position here.
Yeah. I think that White Tigers did chip a lot of things down, but I think that it's just kind of... There's not enough gas left in the tank to get all the KOs that you need. I mean, Conkeldurr and Grimmsnarl are just in range of any hit that you go for. Persian does go for the fake out. Actually opted to go for it into the Lapras, or what was the Grimmsnarl. Thunderbolt coming out, doubled into it. That's good, but weakness policy triggers. But it's not going to be enough because, the Lapras isn't going to be enough because it's in range of any hit at this point. Hyper Voice comes out. I don't think the Persian's sashed.
No,
Yeah.
yeah, that's gonna be a one-hit KO into the Persian, and
Mm.
this Rotom sitting here without a spread move to hit both at -1 special defense, even taking resisted hits like Hyper Voice. That was a two-target Hyper Voice, so we should expect a single-target Hyper Voice to do even more into that.
Yeah, I would say something like just go for a Hydro Pump and Hyper Voice this turn, and either one of those should put Rotom in range if it can counter Mach Punch.
Yeah. So we see the Lappers opt for the Protect. Nib's trying to preserve this differential here. As the Thunderbolt correctly reads that Protect, goes into the Sylveon. It's not really doing a whole lot of damage. And Sylveon actually opts for the Mystical Fire to drop the Rotom's special attack here.
Yeah, I guess that's okay.
Yeah, that works too.
Yeah, I'd say that, like, I will say that Nibs is in the commanding position right now. But, like, all doing, as in, while, like, that play did not lose him the game, it did potentially offer up an opening for Tigers to get back in. And it's if something like something that you kind of always need to think about is, what if this turn goes as horribly as it possibly could go? And something that, like, could potentially go wrong there is, like, if a Thunderbolt goes into the Sylveon, full para, and then Sylveon just gets, like, full para'd back. It's, like, super unlikely, but you're in a commanding position, so you should just not give them the opportunity to get back in the game.
Yeah, for sure. So we see Nibs there go ahead and clean it up, get a little bit of redemption for their very first battle, which I believe went up on the YouTube relatively recently with the VOD. Y'all can find that down below in the About Us section with a link to our YouTube. We are posting 2 videos a day as we catch up on all the VODs from the Monday Night Friendlies. With that concludes our second set of the night, and that actually concludes your casting duties for the night, Rollercoaster.
Yeah.
We'll
be back until once we're all done.
Yeah, we'll have you back for the kind of final closing thoughts and everything. And with that, we're going to go ahead and jump over to our BRB screen, and we'll see y'all in just a few minutes.
Hey, you like that video? We think you should check this out, and YouTube thinks you should check this one out. Be sure to subscribe for more content.